It wasn't just another sad episode of Heartland, it was the moment that stopped every fan in their tracks. The silence after that heartbreaking scene felt heavier than words could describe. Something inside the show changed forever. But what really happened in season 19, episode 4? And what truth lies behind the death that shattered millions of hearts? Let's uncover the pain, the meaning, and the secret choices that made this episode one of the most powerful in Heartland's history. From the very first scene of episode 4, something felt different. The tone was quieter, the colors looked softer, the wind over the ranch seemed slower, almost like the world itself knew that something tragic was coming. Amy's early moments with the horses felt gentle, but behind her calm smile, there was an ache, one that the camera didn't try to hide. The show didn't rush. It let us feel the silence, the empty space between words. That's how Heartland has always spoken to its audience through moments, not noise. We see Amy talking to Jack near the barn. They speak about change, how time moves even when we don't want it to. Jack says something that lingers. You never know which day will be the one that changes everything. At first, it sounds like simple wisdom, but in hindsight, it's a shadow of what's to come. The episode builds slowly, showing the family in their daily rhythm, caring for the horses, sharing breakfast, laughing lightly. But every smile feels bittersweet. There's an invisible sadness just under the surface. The cinematography adds to that feeling. The sky stays gray, the light colder than usual. Even the music feels distant, like memories fading. Viewers who know Heartland well could sense that this wasn't just another family drama episode. Something big was coming. The writers wanted us to feel the emotional ground shifting before the story even said a word. It's clever, quiet storytelling, the kind that doesn't scream but still leaves a mark. Later in the episode, Amy receives a letter, or maybe it's a phone call, depending on how you interpret the hints. The message is simple but heavy. You can see her freeze, her face going blank, her eyes searching for meaning. She doesn't cry, not yet. Instead, she walks outside into the open air. The wind picks up. The horses seem restless. The sound of their movements fills the silence. It's a moment of dread wrapped in beauty. And then comes the conversation between Amy and Lou. It's short but full of emotion. Lou senses something is wrong, but Amy brushes it off. This is how Heartland prepares its audience, not with drama, but with denial. We, as viewers, start feeling what the characters refuse to say out loud. That's what makes the coming heartbreak hit even harder. We already know, deep down, that someone's world is about to fall apart. By the halfway mark of the episode, everything slows. The camera lingers on small details, a saddle being polished, Jack's old hat on the fence post, the sound of a door creaking open. These simple visuals hold heavy meaning. They remind us of history, of moments that once brought comfort. But here, they feel like farewells. Even the landscape, usually full of life and color, feels muted, almost drained. The Heartland Ranch has never looked so lonely. That's the genius of episode 4's setup. The writers didn't just prepare us for a death, they made us feel it coming, even if we didn't know who it would be. Every frame whispered loss before it arrived. And when it finally does, we understand why it hurts so much. Because this isn't just about a character dying. It's about what that person meant to everyone else. It's about how one absence can echo through every memory, every smile, every quiet morning in the barn. In Heartland, loss is never just an event, it's a feeling that spreads slowly, like the cold after sunset. And in this episode, that feeling had already begun long before the tears fell. There's a strange kind of silence that settles over the ranch, the kind that feels almost alive. The horses seem uneasy, pacing in their stalls. The wind moves through the grass like a whisper, carrying something heavy, something unsaid. It's as if Heartland itself knows that life is about to change forever. The episode doesn't rush into the heartbreak. Instead, it lets us feel the quiet tension growing between every heartbeat. Amy walks through the stables with a faraway look, her hand brushing over the wood of the old barn door. She pauses by Spartan's stall, the horse that's carried her through everything: joy, pain, love, and loss. There's a flicker of emotion in her eyes, a mix of nostalgia and fear, but she forces a small smile. This is the calm before the storm, and even she can sense it. Meanwhile, Jack sits on the porch, hat in hand, staring at the open land. He's been here long enough to recognize when something isn't right. His silence speaks louder than any line of dialogue. Heartland has always trusted silence, it's where the truth hides. Jack's gaze lingers toward the hills, where the sky meets the horizon. The light is fading, and the colors are turning gold, the kind of beauty that only comes before something breaks. Lou joins him with 2 cups of coffee. She talks about family, about change, about how everyone seems distant lately. Jack listens but says little. Then, in that familiar gravelly voice, he murmurs, "Sometimes, we don't see the storm till it's already over us." That line, quiet, almost throwaway, becomes the soul of the episode. Because that's what Heartland does best. It hides truth in simple words, words that only reveal their power when it's too late. Back in the barn, Amy finds a photograph, one from years ago. It's of the family together. Ty, Jack, Lou, Lisa, Georgie, and her younger self, all smiling. The photo is slightly faded, edges curled. She traces Ty's face with her thumb, her breathing shallow. For a moment, it feels like the past is reaching out, trying to warn her. There's no dialogue here, just soft music, a piano playing 3 slow notes that repeat like a heartbeat. It's hauntingly beautiful, almost like the episode itself is grieving before we even know why. Then the rhythm of the day begins to change. The lighting turns colder, the wind picks up, and small, ordinary things start to feel symbolic. A kettle whistles but no one answers it. A window bangs open and stays that way. Even the dog whimpers in the distance. These are Heartland's quiet warnings, the invisible signs that pain is coming. As the evening sets in, Amy gets ready to ride out a routine moment that suddenly feels fateful. Jack asks if she wants company. She smiles and says she'll be fine. That smile, that one small moment, becomes the one fans can't forget. Because it's the last time we see her at peace. The sound design shifts subtly here. The usual background of birds and rustling leaves fades away. Instead, there's a hum, a low, soft vibration under the music, something that makes your chest tighten without knowing why. The camera follows her ride through the open field. The sun is low, painting the sky in orange and red. It's breathtaking, almost too perfect, as if the world is giving her one last moment of beauty before it all breaks. The wind pulls her hair back, her eyes focused on the horizon. She looks free, but there's a heaviness in that freedom. And then, it happens, not the tragedy yet, but the shift. A phone rings in the distance back at the ranch. Lou answers. Her expression freezes. We don't hear what's said, the sound cuts out completely. All we see is her face, pale and trembling. The cup in her hand slips and shatters on the floor. That's when the audience knows something terrible has happened, even if we don't know what it is yet. The music fades into silence. The horses stop moving. The world of Heartland pauses. That's the beauty and cruelty of this show. It doesn't need explosions or shouting to break your heart. It only needs a moment of stillness. Because sometimes, the loudest pain is the one you never hear. It happens in a way only Heartland could deliver, quietly, almost gently, like a whisper that breaks your heart instead of your ears. There's no warning, no dramatic music, no flashing lights. Just a moment so simple, so still, that it takes you a few seconds to understand what you've just witnessed. That's the power of Heartland. Tragedy doesn't crash. It fades in like a shadow. The camera cuts from Lou's frozen expression to the open fields where Amy rides. The world looks almost peaceful. The golden light touches her face, the wind hums softly, and Spartan's steady gallop feels like time itself moving forward. But then something shifts. A small sound, a sudden jolt, a glance from Amy that changes everything. The horse slows. Amy looks down, and in that fragile instant, the weight of the world falls. The screen doesn't show everything it doesn't need to. You can feel it. A gust of wind moves through the grass. The sun dips lower, and silence fills the air like an ocean. Then comes the sound, not music, not dialogue, just the faint, echoing heartbeat of the show itself. The frame lingers on Spartan's trembling body, the look in Amy's eyes, and the world around her collapsing in stillness. It's not just the loss of a companion. It's the loss of years, memories, and moments that defined her very soul. Back at the ranch, Jack senses it before the phone even rings again. He stops mid-step, hat in hand, looking toward the horizon. His eyes tell the story before his mouth ever could. When the call finally comes, the words are barely audible, almost drowned by the sound of wind and the soft creak of the porch swing. There's been an accident. That's all we hear. That's all we need to hear. Lou's reaction is rushed. She covers her mouth, shaking her head as if refusing to let reality in. Lisa steps forward, her face pale with disbelief. Tim turns away, his voice cracking with anger that's really pain in disguise. The house becomes a silent echo chamber, filled with grief that can't find words. No one cries at first, they just stand there, lost in the emptiness that suddenly feels too big for the room. When Jack finally speaks, it's almost a whisper. "She's gone, isn't she?" His voice breaks on the last word. Lou nods slowly, and the world seems to stop spinning. The camera doesn't cut away. It stays. It forces us to sit in the stillness, to share their pain. The horses outside begin to whinny softly, their sounds blending with the wind almost as if the land itself is mourning. Then the scene shifts back to the field, where the light has faded completely. Amy's body lies beside Spartan, her hand still resting on his mane. It's the most hauntingly peaceful image in the entire series. No blood, no chaos, just quiet. A goodbye written in silence. The camera rises slowly, showing the wide expanse of Heartland from above, the golden fields now turning dark, the barn light flickering in the distance. It's beautiful, devastating, and unforgettable. What makes this moment so powerful is not just the death itself, but how it's portrayed. There's no manipulation, no forced emotion. It's pure human heartbreak, honest and respectful. Heartland understands that death isn't loud. It's the sound of footsteps stopping, the air changing, the sudden realization that someone's laughter won't fill the room again. The episode doesn't end the scene quickly. It lingers. It lets the audience breathe, cry, and feel the full weight of the loss. Every fan watching knows that this isn't just another TV moment. This is the kind of storytelling that leaves a scar, quiet, deep, and permanent. Because when Heartland takes something away, it also gives something back, a truth about love, about endings, and about how sometimes the hardest goodbyes come wrapped in the gentlest moments. Every heartbreaking moment in Heartland carries meaning. Nothing happens by accident. The death in Season 19, Episode 4 wasn't just written for shock value or ratings. It was written as a turning point, both for the story and for the people who bring it to life. Behind the scenes, this moment was months in the making, carefully built on quiet decisions, emotional conversations, and the weight of the show's legacy. From what insiders have shared, the idea of loss had been quietly woven into the script long before the cameras rolled. The writers wanted to explore what Heartland has always stood for, not just family, but resilience after heartbreak. The show has never shied away from pain. It's always told us that life on the ranch mirrors life itself. Full of joy, yes, but also endings. Every sunrise over those Alberta fields carries both hope and memory, and this episode was meant to remind us of that balance. The choice of who dies in Episode 4 wasn't random. It was symbolic. The character represented stability, history, and emotional grounding, the heart that held everyone together. Their loss wasn't just one person's tragedy. It was the dismantling of comfort, forcing every other character to confront who they are without that anchor. This was about showing growth through grief, the hardest kind of storytelling. But there's another layer, one fans didn't see right away: the real-life reason. Rumors had been circulating for months about cast changes, health concerns, and shifting schedules. Sources close to production suggested that the actor had been considering stepping away for personal reasons, perhaps burnout, perhaps a wish to explore new creative paths. Instead of writing a quiet exit or a disappearance, the creators decided to give the character a meaningful farewell, one that would leave an emotional imprint worthy of Heartland's spirit. During filming, the atmosphere on set reportedly changed. Crew members spoke in hushed tones, and even the horses seemed unsettled. Amber Marshall Amy Fleming mentioned in an interview that the scene felt unreal, as though they were saying goodbye not just to a character, but to a piece of their shared history. There were tears behind the camera as well as in front of it. That's what makes Heartland unique. The pain we see on screen often mirrors the emotions of those creating it. The episode's director chose to film the death scene in natural light, no artificial brightness, no color correction. The fading sunset was real, captured in a single take. That decision wasn't just aesthetic, it was symbolic. The sun setting over the ranch was the visual metaphor for a chapter ending. Every shadow, every golden hue was saying goodbye. Even the music held secrets. The score used during that scene, a soft piano arrangement, was a reimagined version of a melody first heard in Season 2, during one of Amy's happiest moments. The same tune, now slowed and broken, created a full-circle connection between joy and grief. It was a way of saying, this is where it began, and this is where it comes full circle. What many fans missed is that subtle nod in the script, Amy whispering a single line, almost to herself, "He taught me everything I know about love." It's not clear if she's talking about her father, Ty, or even the horse beside her, and that's the beauty of it. The writers left it open, allowing the audience to decide who she was truly saying goodbye to. In truth, this scene wasn't just written for Heartland's characters, it was written for the viewers who have grown up with them. It reminds us that loss doesn't erase love, it deepens it. That even when something ends, its meaning doesn't fade. It lingers in memories, in traditions, in the small things that never stop reminding us of what once was. So, when the credits rolled on episode 4, it wasn't just the end of a story arc. It was a message that sometimes letting go is the only way to move forward. Because in Heartland, death isn't the final chapter. It's the start of another kind of healing. When episode 4 ended, silence filled living rooms around the world. No one reached for the remote right away. No one spoke. It was one of those rare moments when fiction felt too real, when a TV show stopped being a story and became an emotion. Within minutes, the internet exploded. Twitter turned into a sea of heartbreak. Reddit threads overflowed with disbelief. And longtime fans of Heartland, some watching since the very first episode, said they hadn't cried this hard since Ty's death. But it wasn't just sadness. It was shock. Many couldn't believe what they had just witnessed. "This can't be real," one fan wrote. "There's no Heartland without them," another posted. "I grew up with this show. I feel like I just lost a friend." The comment sections under official Heartland pages were flooded with thousands of messages, tributes, theories, and thank yous. Fans began sharing edits and memorial videos, pairing clips from older seasons with soft piano covers of the main theme. Within hours, Heartland 19x04 was trending worldwide. What struck everyone most wasn't just the death itself, but how it was handled. The scene didn't rely on heavy dialogue or over-the-top tears, it was the quiet that broke people. That stillness. Fans said they felt haunted by the moment the screen faded to black, with only the sound of the wind. Some admitted they sat in silence long after the credits, unable to move, replaying the scene in their minds like a memory they couldn't shake off. And then came the theories. Fans began dissecting every frame, every word, every choice the writers made. Some believed the death had been foreshadowed in the premiere episode, the way Jack spoke about change, or the photograph Amy found in the barn. Others went deeper, claiming the story was symbolic, that the character's death represented Amy finally confronting her own past, her lingering grief for Ty, and her struggle to accept new beginnings. "It wasn't just about losing someone," one fan wrote. "It was about learning that love doesn't end, it transforms." Online forums became a virtual support group. People who had never spoken before were suddenly comforting each other, sharing personal stories about loss and how Heartland helped them heal. That's the kind of impact few shows can claim, a fictional tragedy that opens real human hearts. One viewer wrote, "When Jack said, 'She's gone, isn't she?' I heard my own grandfather's voice. It felt too real." Messages like that flooded social media, reminding everyone why Heartland has lasted nearly 2 decades. It connects life to emotion with startling honesty, but the reactions weren't all sorrowful. Some fans found beauty in the ending. They saw it as poetic, the way the characters' final moments mirrored the show's earliest themes: family, forgiveness, and the courage to keep going. Heartland has always been about moving forward, One longtime fan tweeted, "This was the hardest, but most beautiful way to show it." Even cast members joined in the wave of emotion. Amber Marshall posted a simple photo of the ranch at sunset, captioned, "Some goodbyes aren't really the end." Sean Johnston, who plays Jack, shared a quote that left fans teary-eyed. "Sometimes we don't lose people. They just ride ahead." Those words spread across fan pages like wildfire, comforting, heartbreaking, and perfectly Heartland. Days after the episode aired, fans began visiting the real-life filming locations in Alberta, leaving flowers and notes by the fences. Some brought small trinkets, horseshoes, feathers, photos, creating an unplanned memorial that blurred the line between story and reality. The Heartland community wasn't just mourning a fictional loss. They were honoring everything that character represented: love, family, and the unbreakable spirit of the ranch. In a world full of shows that chase quick thrills, Heartland reminded us of something deeper: that grief is the price of love, and the more you care,